Welcome to Spotlight. My name's Chris Troy, and today I'm speaking with truly a rock and roll icon. With his band Grand Funk Railroad, Mark Farner dominated radio and arena rock for decades, bringing his own special type of music, foot-stomping music, to the masses. Mark, thanks a lot for being here today.
Hey, it's good to be here with you, brother Chris.
Now, a lot of people may not know you're a Michigan man, correct?
That's right, born and raised. Born in Flint and raised all over the state.
Now, being a part of that kind of whole Flint, Detroit, Port Huron triangle, that must have really influenced your music quite a bit, did it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and especially, back when it was AM, Chris, before the FM took off, we listened to AM radio. And just so happens that CKLW across the river from Detroit there, man, they came booming into Flint, and Rosalie Trombley, God bless her, she played the best dance music, and that's what we were really into. Going, before I was playing guitar, I was dancing, and we would go to these dances and what have you. And then when I started playing guitar, then I was playing music at these dances that we were going to. And it was all due to the AM radio from, like you say, all the way from Port Huron to Detroit to Ann Arbor, Flint, and of course CKLW across the river, our neighbors.
Now, Mark, one of the bands that we're kind of familiar with here in the area was the Pack that you were part of. Can you tell me a little bit about that and kind of maybe how that got you started?
Well, there was a group called the Jazz Masters that was, it was, Don Brewer was the drummer for that group, and Kurt Johnson was guitar player along with Al Pippins. And we had, of course, this was before I was in the band, but we'd have these Battle of the Bands things, and we'd play music off against these guys, and FM was not really going strong, but you heard about it at that point in time, and Herm Jackson was the bass player for the Pack that back then, Terry Knight and the Pack, and he got drafted. And they asked me to come and play bass in the Pack, Terry Knight and the Pack. This is back when Terry Knight was leading the Pack, was lead singer, and he was a front man for the group. And then after a little while that I was in that band playing bass, Don Brewer and I were talking one day and said, this guy can't sing. I mean, both of us could sing better than this guy. Why is he singing? Why is he the lead singer of this band? So basically we fired Terry Knight, and Don Brewer kept in touch with him, and Terry had moved to New York City, and then the version of the Pack that Don and I were both in, we moved this thing all the way out to Massachusetts, to Cape Cod, and we were staying in these summer cottages out there, and we were told that if we did good on our visit to Massachusetts, that we could go back and actually make some money, and that these were all promotional gigs that we were doing. That's what we were told. So we went out there with that in mind. We started doing some gigs, and people liked us. And then we had the worst snowstorm in the history of the world, and we got socked in, and we were there for like 2 weeks. This is in 1969, and by the time we got home, 2 of the players were married. Kenny Rich, guitar player from Windsor, Ontario, and Craig Frost, who was the B3 player, our keyboard guy. Their wives were going to divorce them. They were threatening divorce and everything. So the band broke up, needless to say, and we went on and formed Grand Funk from that point.
Now, I read somewhere that the Atlantic Pop Festival is really where you guys kind of got your launch, but you had been really at it for a while before then. I guess my real question is, Mark, is how does a guy go from playing a place like the Capitol Theater in Flint to all of a sudden having your name across a 747 jet? I mean, that had to have been a really fast growth for you guys.
Yes, and at that first Atlanta, Georgia Pop Festival, there was 185,000 people, and they weren't all from Atlanta. You know, they were from all over the country. And back when the pop festivals were going, you had people from every state. You had people from Canada, Mexico, and, you know, people would fly up from South America to come to a festival. Had a good cross section of folks that love to rock. There is freedom in the rock. And you're right, Chris, you know, from going from a garage band to Atlanta, Georgia, to you know, having all this claim and fame, it was a big step. It was a giant step. We were 20 years old, dude. I mean, it was hard to digest. Mel was 19 when the band started, so we were just young kids. We got taken advantage of big time. Terry Knight had a production deal with Capitol Records, and we were signed to his production company, basically. And he told us that the 6% that the band was splitting was more than the Beatles got. Wow, we got more than the Beatles got. Wow. Well, they got screwed too. The production deal, found out later by accident. Well, actually, it was by providence that I found out, and all the other guys, I mean, you know, we were standing there in a room together in a pickle because they had put us in a tax bind. We owed the government $400,000, and they said, well, we'll loan you the money if you'll sign another 3-year contract with, and we go, well, man, we can't just make up our mind and tell you, this is something we got to deliberate on a little bit. And they said, okay, we'll go in the other room. You guys deliberate. And it's like, they went in there. I went over and sat down in this attorney's chair, and I put my feet up on his desk, and I'm leaning back. And I said, these guys got us in a pickle. Do you feel this? Do you feel like, you know, this was purposely done, and this, now that you're in this pickle, we'll loan you the money to get out? Do you think that was planned? And they're going, yeah, man, this just don't feel good. It don't feel good. And so I sat up, and as I sat up, my feet dragged down across that top drawer in the old wooden desk, and my foot caught it, and it opened up, and boom, I sat up, and here's the contract between Capitol Records and Goodnight Productions for 16%, Chris. So Terry was taking 10%. The band was splitting 6%. And then Terry was taking a management commission of our humble little 6%. I'm telling you. But this is not a new story.
No.
A lot of bands back then got taken advantage of because we were just young guys, didn't have anybody looking out for us. The attorneys that were our attorneys were Terry's attorneys. What a big mistake. Musicians out there, you got to have your own representation. Do not get involved. They can sound like they're in your court, and they are sticking it to you. Just saying.
Well, Mark, you guys had so many chart hits. You guys, you sold out Shea Stadium faster than the Beatles did. That is a statement that's just amazing to me. And after all these years, you're still out rocking, which is awesome. You're coming to McMorran here in Port Huron, March 25th. And I got to ask you, with all those hits, how do you develop a set list? I mean, how do you narrow it down?
Well, thank God for the internet, because we have polled our audience, and we ask them to write down the top 3 songs. Of course, you get a good cross section this way. And then we ask them to write down the top 10 songs that they would like to see in a live set. And so we take the fans' advice, and we could, out of 2,500 people that's sending you the information involved in it, you can get a good set list. And I just, there's some things that I do that are, they're audible. I mean, they're not done every night in the same spot, blah, blah, blah. I like to change the set list up, just so people aren't going to come and see the same order that they saw the last time they saw us. But the set list, with all these songs I got to choose from, brother, it's like, wow, what do we do now to this year? But we always come up with the top choices of the people and then add to that as we feel, for a live set, to keep people on their toes, to keep them excited, and to keep them involved, because the emotional connection that we have with the audience is due to us praying before we take that stage. Every night we pray that love will come into this audience and into this band, and that we will find each other out there, and that we will have relationship, and that we will have community, no matter if it's a pop festival or if it's a theater, that we're going to have some community, and it's going to be embraced by the spirit of love.
Bringing that foot-stomping music, my friend.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Hey, just one last quick one, then we got to get out of here. They say that you made it big when you end up on a Simpsons episode. How did you feel when you found out you were Homer Simpson's favorite band?
Dude, I didn't, because I don't watch TV. We don't have an antenna, haven't had it. Now we got Wi-Fi, so we can watch, whatever we pick, but we don't, the TV stays off all the time. So I wasn't really a Simpsons fan. I'm not a fan of any of that stuff, because I'm trying to stay open to the music that's going to be developed in me. I'm writing the songs. Man, I got some new ones coming. Oh, I just wrote one day before yesterday. I love it already. But anyways, to find out, we were at Pine Knob and we're going to go on. And these guys ran that episode of The Simpsons. And I'm standing back behind this screen on stage, and I'm looking up, and that's when Homer says, "You guys haven't heard of Grand Funk Real," the shirtless lyrics and all this stuff. And I'm going, because I know how popular, I do know how popular the Simpsons are. I've heard of them, of course, because they come out of everybody's mouth. And then when I heard that, and the audience, I see the audience, their reaction, dude, was like, yeah. And I'm going, all right, I like this guy. Homer Simpson's my buddy now.
Well, Mark, we're looking forward to seeing you March 25th here at McMorran Place. And it's really been an honor to talk with you, my friend. Hopefully we'll get a chance to meet sometime down the road. And yes, you just, you keep doing what you're doing, and the fans will keep turning out. So thanks again for being with us, all right?
My pleasure, brother. And yeah, let's hook up. If you're coming to the concert, I want to shake your hand and thank you personally for this interview and for this. It's a little reach out and touch the audience, and I appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to rocking Port Huron, and my brothers and sisters, my Michigan Maniac brothers and sisters, we're going to rock together.
Well, all right. Have a great rest of your day.
And you.
For Spotlight, I'm Chris Troy. This episode of Spotlight was brought to you by Semco Energy.